Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to give it just a minute here to let people trickle in. But for those of you who are prompt and on time, we'd love to hear where you're coming from. Where are you joining us from? We've got Chantel over on the East Coast, Brett, we've got up a little bit up north in Chicago, myself in Texas. So it's always fun to hear where people are tuning in from. We will make sure that you get a copy of your certificate of attendance today at the end of this session. And this is going to be kind of an informal series. So this is the first of 6 different sessions that we're going to have this summer, talking about childcare trends and different tips to help you kind of grow and expand your business. If you have any questions throughout today, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll make sure to get to those by the end of the session. But Chantel and Brett both have a ton of experience, and we're really excited to hear from them and talk a little bit more about kind of growth trends and the value of reporting and data in the industry. So Brett and Chantel, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, I'm going to give you all the floor now.
Chantel, you go first. Go for it.
All right, perfect. So I'm Chantel Pettengill. I live up here in Maine, so like tip top of the country. It is no longer snowing. Actually, not yesterday was 90 degrees. Today is back down to 65, which is more my liking. I have 3 centers up here in Maine. All are pretty large for that. And then I'm also a childcare coach with the Childcare Success Academy, helping providers across the country and actually internationally as well help grow their childcare business for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Chantel. Brett Neller, CEO of LineLeader. Been with the company almost 6.5 years now. Up in Chicago in the Midwest. So the weather here is finally nice, decent enough to go on a walk and wear some shorts. So we'll take it. But today, yeah, we want to we'll have a series over the summer here on some of these 30-minute quick hitter sessions to hopefully for you all to pick up some nuggets along the way, ask questions, and connect with other people in the chat too. But today, you're talking about growth and expansion trends. We're constantly looking at data in the space and sharing that data. We on a quarterly basis, we'll outline benchmark stats, and we'll have another webinar on that once Q2 wraps up. But it's, how do you dissect that data? Everybody wants to know what's going on in the industry. What's the best practice? How can I fine tune my business to differentiate myself? And there's a lot you can learn from your data. And I think that's what we'll kind of dive in today a little bit about is how are you looking at your data? What's important to look at? What's going on industry trend wise? And what can we do to provide some insights there to help you look at it in a different way. So I think when we do a survey every year, 64% of childcare professionals named reporting on business performance as a key challenge last year. And it's no different this year. The competition is fierce out there, right, Chantel? Like the cost per lead is significantly higher. There was a time where a family goes and looks online for a center and there was maybe 1 or 2 options. Now there's 7, right? So how do you differentiate yourself? And then as competition and the cost per lead or the cost per family coming and seeking care at your center has gone up, how do you make every lead count, right? And it's to make every lead count, you really need to start dissecting the customer journey, understanding conversion from each stage in the funnel, and then benchmarking those against your other centers that maybe you have in your family or colleagues, friends, families, peers, and sharing ideas and best practices so you can stay ahead of the competition. And that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. So Chantel has obviously a ton of experience, operator, but also a coach. One thing that I think we often talk about with our customers, and when we're having customers come to us and asking us for help on like a CRM aspect or enrollment operations customer journey, is like, have you mapped out the customer journey? And that's really, you got to understand what that means. And there's a lot of workflow automation that goes into that. And I don't know, Chantel, if you can talk a little bit about how you help with that as a coach, what you do yourself, and and what you're seeing out there is really, really important because competition is fierce.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really big, especially right now. I know in our end of the country, funding is hard. Everybody, like Maine gave grant money to open up new daycares. So like in my area alone, we've had 3 new daycares open within the last 6 months. And one of them was a former parent of mine. So they had all my unique brilliances, all that stuff they were inside. So you really need to look at your journey of from that first, not even that first phone call, but where are they finding you? How are they learning your name? Because they do all that before they even pick up the phone. What are your reviews online looking like? Because they look at what people's experiences are within your company, and you have to track it from before there all the way to when they age out of your program. So if you have a school age program, it might be 12 years. If you only go up to preschool, it might be your typical age is 5 years, or your lifespan of a customer is 5 years. So you have to sit down with, if you have directors, if not co-owners, anyone you work with in your company, and be like, what is the journey within our program from before they learn about us to after they leave us? And it's not just that lead. Your enrollment funnel is your enrollment funnel, but you also have to say, once you get them in the door, we don't want them going out the back door, because that it means nothing with your growth if they're coming in and then but you have people leaving at the same time. And people leaving is normal. Especially this time of year, we had some leave because they're going to big kid school next year, because my typical age is 5 years old, or because it's Maine, a lot of our people come to us for daycare, but we're not in their school district. So they're going to daycares or preschools that are in their school district. So you got to also look at those challenges of your area, to try to keep those people within your program. So that's the first step in that journey, is what's each step along the way, and then really start looking at what does it look like along the way.
Yeah, it's hard to analyze that without having the data captured to understand like how are you performing at each of those stages, right? So like when you're looking at the funnel, you have conversion stats from, tour scheduled to tour completed to registration. Maybe there's a different step in there along the way that you have unique to your center operations. But if you don't fundamentally know maybe where you're falling off or being negatively impact on that customer journey, it's really hard to fine tune and think about creative ways to fix it. So what we've seen in the industry overall is, again, the leads coming in are fewer, right? The demand, because there's more opportunity to shop. So if you have somebody that is interested, you need to execute on that journey in a special way, because differentiators are even more important today than they were a couple years ago. The one thing I think we see a lot of is the tour is the most important part of that journey, right, Chantel? Like you have the family inside your doors.
Yep.
That means the high intent, you're one of the finalists. And so when they come, you have to kind of treat it as the Super Bowl, right? I mean, because that family could be 1, 2, 3 kids, the lifetime value of that family could be huge, right, for your center. And I don't know if there's anything there, Chantel, that you, from a coaching perspective or a personal perspective, like the execution of the tour is critical. People smiling, making sure it's clean, highlighting differentiators along the tour, like coaching the tour, scripting the tour. I don't know how you operate there, but maybe some nuggets there you can share.
So once you get them in the door, for that tour, you got to let them feel like they're already a part of your program. So like one thing we do in our program is I have tour stops, just to help my directors, because my directors do the tours. And we have a tour script. So they practice the tour and they practice the tour script. And when they're at this tour stop, they talk about the infant feedings. And when they're at this tour stop, so it gives them that guidance, because sometimes we all get nervous when we're doing tours, or you don't want to forget something. But a lot of times when we do the tours, we teach our directors, and when I have to do them, it's a conversation with the family. What are they looking for? Why do you fit the need for their family? Um, a lot of time, my directors, all our family parents within my program as well. So what is their experience as a parent in the center with their own kid going there? When I did it, I would talk about our potty training journey, because especially with those 2-year-olds. So when I was potty training my kids, this is what we did. And so we brought that philosophy into the program. We do homemade baby food, because when I was feeding she's now 15, but my infant, I made peaches, and it was a whole different color than the jar of peaches we got from the store. And I'm like, wait a minute, they should be the same color. So you share those stories and you give them insight of who you are, who your program is. Make it personal for them. Get down at the child's level. If they bring their child, we'll have the child go play in the classroom for a couple minutes while you're sitting there talking. Have your teachers come out and talk with the family, especially if it's going to be in that classroom. Like, this is my classroom. This is what we do. This is our cubbies. This is how we do potties. This is our mealtime. By allowing the teachers to talk to the family, it gives them that connection of who will be taking care of their child when they come in. Because families, we live in a world where they're so nervous, especially first-time parents. So you want to get rid of those nerves when they come in for that tour. And after you show them, have a room that you can go sit and just have more of a conversation so they can ask their questions versus just piecing them out the door and saying, okay, we'll hear from you later. Go sit down. We have what we call a team room, so my staff can use it, but we close our tours out in it where they can sit, talk about the program, get their feel on how they're feeling as well. And that you want to make them feel welcomed and already a part of their program. Like, okay, you know what? I want to come back next week for it. And then also during the tour, we invite them to come in for a play date. So if they didn't bring their little in, and something we recently added into the program, because it's like, well, if we can get them to come in that second time, they're going to be more likely to enroll. And we have them bring their child in and they come in for a play date so their child can actually be involved in the program and they can see their child in the program. So that's something we recently added to our tours personally, just to try to keep them in that door for it.
Yeah, it's really, the scripting is interesting, right? So like, especially if you have one center, you can control that. But if you have three, the quality and consistency on the tour execution gets harder as you add more.
Yes.
Right? And maybe one person at your original center is fantastic at giving a tour and culturally bleeds your center culture and your brand. And it's hard to find great people to do that consistently across 3 centers, right? So the tour scripting is really important. We offer functionality in our platform where, if you have a family coming in, you take your tour kiosk, you take your tablet around, all the talking points on the tablet, and then you can take notes about the family, because you're going to capture something along the way that you can follow up even in a personalized manner, right, as well. So like taking notes along the way and capturing what is important to them. Safety is obviously huge. And agree, Wendy made a good comment here about like the cute things are great, but safety is obviously so critical. Some of the fundamental elements of executing, like highlighting safety and doing all those things. But being very systematic and thoughtful about that tour script on what are the key points you want whomever's executing the tour to like hone in on.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a fan. I have 2 children, 5 and a 3-year-old. We use childcare every day. God bless all of you operators out there for doing that. My wife and I couldn't work professionally without you, and so important, the fabric of the communities you serve. But we've gone to 2 or 3 different childcare centers. Safety is like super critical, but like my current center, one thing that stood out on the tour is he's like, we have somebody that was a guitar player come in every week and play guitar, play music for the kids. And this guitarist used to be was on The Voice. And it was like I remembered that. I was like, oh, we're definitely setting our kids here, like, because they get the experiential piece of a musician coming in on a weekly basis. I thought was really neat. But Anything, when you have 3 centers, how do you maintain consistency, and how do you coach consistency when you're trying to execute a similar tour across 3 sites? Maybe it's similar but different, but how do you maintain quality in that aspect of the customer journey?
Yes. Yeah, so we definitely set our standard. So we have the tour scripts, we have the tour stops, and then something we're always changing and evolving because, like you said, the guitarist, we actually offer karate, yoga, and music into our program. So like making sure that gets into all of ours. But one of my schools offers dance because we acquired that center. So it's a little different. Um, but what we do is we sit and we talk with our directors. And we talk about how we do tours and we shadow how we do tours. One of my schools right now is killing it with tours. So we're actually having conversations with them on, okay, what are you doing that might be a little bit different than what the other 2 schools are doing? And how do we bring that in? So we're always meeting as an admin team. So we meet once a week with all my directors. We meet twice a month with my assistant directors. And we're always talking and always making things improvement. It's not just Zach and I, the owners of the business, but also our directors within the program. So one thing we're in the process of doing, because we just switched up our training a little bit, is we're making a tour, basically, like I don't have a GoPro, but with my cell phone. So it'd be perspective of a parent, and going through the tour video with that. Because some people like to read the script, but we also have to remember our visual learners. So we're going to be making it as a video, and making it a whole tour training. So that way they're like, oh, okay, this is what I do. And they get to see it in the eyes of the parent in that aspect. So that way, because we have 3 schools, but I want more. So I got to
Yeah.
make sure I have that consistency as we grow my schools and ensure that everything is the same for that.
The GoPro firsthand like recording of a tour, I've never heard that. That's really cool. That's really, really neat. And great training mechanism. What about coaching about incentives? Do you incentivize your team for, registrations or tour? Like how do you incentivize your team to be like as passionate as you are about growing the business? Um,
So we do we're in the process, it's always evolving and changing because the market's always evolving and changing. So we've done bonus structures in the past. And we also did like the tours, but also making sure the retention's there at the same time. Um, so we've done bonus structures. We actually are launching within our business a competition with our 3 directors. So it's going to be all 3 directors working together. See if we can enroll 50 kids by the end of summer. So some of my schools, like one of my school only has like 10 spots right now, but it's 10 minutes down the road from one of my other schools who has more spots because we just bought the center. So even though she doesn't have openings, she can help work with the other school to increase their enrollments as well. And then my third school is 40 minutes away, so it's a little further away. But that way they're all directing together, and we're going to incentivize it with a bonus at the end of the summer that if they reach it, they're going to each get probably about $2,000, because 50 kids is a lot of money. I can pay that out to my directors to help with enrollment because summertime's a dip. It's normal across the industry, especially if you don't do school age kids, which we don't focus on school age. So we always have a little bit of a dip, but we want to get up in the fall and increase those enrollments. So that's one way we incentivize. We do competitions every once in a while, like whoever can get 10 enrollments this month, or whoever we might incentivize with like a gift card or things like it doesn't have to be super expensive. My girls are competitive, so competition's always good within my program. So
I think that's any business, right? Competition. You want the people that are competitive, that wanna like are locked in and want to help you grow. That's interesting. So like when you have three centers,
yeah.
you're incentivizing them to help out the like call it the portfolio, right? Not just their own center, right? That's
Right. Yeah. Because as a company, we all make the money. So like if one center's a little bit low, but the other one's high, like we all help each other out. As long as the business is making money, that's our underlying goal. So we want them to help each other out when possible. Because like I said, one school has 50 openings because we just bought them about 6 months ago, but
Right.
my other one only has 10. So we're a team, so we want to work together.
Yeah, and I don't know if everybody always does that, right? They get focused in on their one center and incentives just for that center. But if you're an operator owner and you have multiple sites, the having more of an enterprise view, portfolio view is really it's beneficial to everybody, right? At the end of the day. So
Exactly.
if
Exactly.
they have the enterprise hat on and are about helping out the entire team, that's the right approach. That's fantastic. So awesome. Well, any other so the tour we obviously know is a huge aspect of the family journey and probably the most critical part because you have them in the door, you don't want them to leave, right? Like you don't want them to go shop down the door. But I think one of the other things that we talk about is how do you make it easier for families in this digital age to um, if you're looking at a center, I know we obviously look at them at night sometimes. It's not like you're available in the night. It's important you have a mechanism for families to get connected to your center, schedule a tour immediately. There's a lot of platforms out there you can use to schedule tours online, have that embedded on your website. That's really important, right? And then workflow automation is critical
Yes.
to get them engaged, working really in the background while your day's super busy, right? We talked a little bit about that. So maybe talk a little bit about touches, automation, and then make the ease of engaging with families to help run your center in the background while you're taking care of whatever it may be, a sick kid or an issue at your sites.
Yeah. So families' lives are just as busy as our lives. So the biggest thing is you got to stay forefront. If they message you and you don't schedule the tour within a week or not, typically within a couple days, you're going to lose them as a customer because they need care and they need care now. So you have to be on top of scheduling tours within 24 hours, if not instantly. You have to make sure that they're able to see your center. So being out front, like websites, pictures on Google. Everyone does Google searches. So you need to make sure you have pictures and reviews right on your Google. If you can do virtual tours to show your building, that helps out a lot. I'm a big proponent. I haven't done one in a while, but Facebook Lives, show the building, show it in real time. That way they can see, like, you're not in a Facebook Live, you can't hide anything. You can't edit anything out that's happening right there. So you have to give them ways to see your center without seeing your center. Facebook, TikTok is big right now. Using TikTok as a platform, I'm still learning it. Like I said, I have a 15-year-old daughter, so thank God. She's been showing me the ins and outs of TikTok and how to use it. But also making sure that you're staying in the forefront because I get text messages all day long personally. I
Yeah.
get emails all day long. A lot of times, and my husband, I ignore my husband sometimes, not on purpose, but I forget that he texted me. So you have to continue to have those touches because they might have missed your 10 a.m. text, but the next day you're texting them at 6 p.m. and you know what? I can do it right now and I'm going to answer and schedule that tour, or I'm going to get on the enrollment paperwork right now. So like when we do follow-ups with our parents, we have the automation that gets sent like through our CRM to them, but I'll help my directors out. If I'm at home 6 p.m. on a Friday, I'm going to message following up saying, hey, we want to make sure you got your enrollment paperwork okay, because we also do digital enrollment paperwork because parents don't want paper and pencil. They want to be able to do it right up from their phone.
And they fill those out at night generally. Like we have the offering for that, and we see most of those registration packets filled out after the kids are in bed, right, and submitted at night. So
Yeah,
to have at least that option, right, so where they can
yes.
if they can't do it on site, but at nighttime when the kids are finally asleep, is super valuable as well. So.
Yeah. And you want to be able to make sure they can text you because parents don't pick up the phone and talk anymore. You we even text with our applicants now for jobs because it's so much easier than trying to call and schedule an interview. But same thing with a tour. If you can text them, either through your CRM program or through a text line, it makes it so much easier because then they'll schedule it quicker that way versus being like, because if they're at work, they're not supposed to be on their phone probably, but it's easier for them to text than to pick up the phone on their lunch break to do that. So we found texting really works with a lot of our families.
You mentioned some of the social channels, right? You mentioned
Yep.
TikTok. Can you share a little bit of what you learned there, and even Instagram, maybe? Like, how do you leverage these platforms? Are you doing it to generate leads? I mean, maybe so, but are you doing it because parents shop around and do their homework, and you want to have a good digital data point out there for them to come across?
So we use it for everything. So we use it a lot for leads. So like I tend to run 3 or 4 ads on Facebook, Instagram, because they link together, which is amazing now. So I'll do 3 to 4 ads a month. You have to get in the mindset. You have to spend money to make money. Took me a really long time to get to that mindset. But I'll set a budget. Like right now, my budgets are a little bit higher because we're in that summer dip. So it's like $20 a day. Each of my school has an enrollment ad. I have a summer camp ad running, and then I have an educational ad running. So like, what's a day in the life at Pettengill Academy? Or sometimes I'll do one like the importance of sunscreen for children. Sometimes it has nothing to do with my program, but is something that parents need for education. And that if they see it and they're like, oh, I learned something new from them 2 months ago, but I need childcare now. It's that little bit of making a touch without promoting yourself in the obvious way. So we'll run those. And then I post daily. Sometimes it's pictures of the kids learning. Sometimes it's an education type thing. Sometimes it's a quote. So those are a lot of the ways we leverage social media. TikTok, we'll try to do videos. What I'm doing now, the one thing I did learn between it is Facebook doesn't like when you take TikTok videos and just post them. So I'll do a TikTok video and then I'll do something different on Facebook with the same subject matter, or I'll take what I do Facebook and then I'll make it a video on TikTok. So sometimes sharing across all of them doesn't necessarily work at your advantage in the algorithms, but the information, you just got to make it a little different.
Yeah, and some of that's intimidating for folks, right? Like once you get the handle of it, you take it in-house. But if you need help, there are folks out there, like Grow Your Center is a great partner out there that can
Yes.
help with the marketing services aspect of it. And to Chantel's point, you gotta spend money to make money, right? It's scary, but if you're not investing in some of these social channels, I can guarantee your competitor is. And their online presence is going to win more times than not if you're not at least matching them. So super important. Look at Grow Your Center too. They're a good partner to kind of help you get those in place and get the fundamentals of plumbing in place and at least kickstart you and give you some guidance. And then the coaches at the academy as well, right? They have,
Yes.
like, Chantel's a perfect example. She's got Instagram and Facebook ads on lockdown, it sounds like. So coaches are out there as well through the academy to help out with some of these things and get you started. If it feels intimidating or fresh and new, and you're like, I'm feel like you're losing your edge, like reach out to those folks. They'll help you out a ton. And if you have a CRM platform, we can help you out as well. So like there's a combination of all these people out there that want you to succeed. The industry is super important. We need everybody really, really healthy. And we need everybody available to service like our kids and help develop and take care of our children during the day. So really, really important stuff. So I don't know if there's any parting words, Chantel. We're at our 30 minutes, but we'll do a couple of these summer series. But anything you want to leave the group with before we exit here?
Yeah, you really have to, the biggest thing is you have to set time to work on your business, in your business. I've been where all you were. I was ready to close my doors in 2019. I was ready to walk away, go back to public school teaching. Like I was a hot mess at one time in this. And so I know how you guys feel. if you are intimidated, but find yourself a mentor. Like, to be honest, it was when I joined the academy that saved my business. And then I decided to become a coach so that way I could help others and save their business as well. You just got to do it. You got to set time aside to reach out to these families and get them enrolled. Hold your staff accountable. It's not easy, especially when you're wearing all 50 hats for your business, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You just got to set that little bit of time and start working on your social media, start working on your tour scripts, and start setting up these standards so that way you can continue to grow.
Yeah. And there's a lot of tools and toolkits out there, a lot of people that can help you. And again, your success is important to the country, like no joke. Like parents, families need you. So let's all work together to make it your operation really successful. And there's a lot of resources out there to get it done. So so much for joining us. Have a great kickoff to the summer, and I hope everybody's got good weather finally in all parts of the country. And be safe. And again, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chantel, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.